When we first began researching the goals for our project, our scope was extremely broad, to say the least. We wanted to try our hand at fixing what ended up to be too many things. We researched the relaxation pods offered in the rec center, where students can book a 15-minute relaxation session offering to boost students' mental. I took it upon myself to see if this session would bear results, and we learned a lot about what students were asking for mentally and how the campus is responding to that accordingly. We made sure to note where important student resource buildings were located on campus and tried to rationalize why. For example, the CAP Center, which stands for Counseling and Psychological Services, is located in Van Kampen Hall, which is a good 1.2-mile walk away from the Counseling Center located in Whitehall. Why is everything so spread out and separated? Another example would be the mobile food pantry. On the surface, this is a wonderful idea, but myself and other students have noticed that the truck never really moves from its one spot except for on occasion. On the other side of the coin, we found it great that services like the SAS or the Student Accessibility Services are located centrally on campus in the library, where they are easy to find and locate for anyone on campus. We toyed around with ideas like an escape room and making setup easier for on-campus clubs, but at the end of the day, we had to narrow down to the main idea of the issue. After conferring, we were able to whittle it down to the core idea. We decided that we wanted to create an interactive, customizable calendar and map that students, no matter their standing, could utilize to make their commute around campus easier, as well as providing information about all the various resources and services available to them as students. Our group came to the conclusion that overall, when it comes to student resources, everything feels a little bit disconnected from what students are actually experiencing. We believe that this requires a more technical overlap that can best prepare students for each and every challenge at once. Our pitch went as follows. Our goal is to create a concentrated, complete, and centralized student resource calendar. Think about a student trying to find out where they can get help. How are they supposed to know where to go with the confusing mess of resources presented to them? This is why we wanted to present them with a comprehensive calendar and map that they can customize themselves. Our first challenge, before developing the map idea, was to gain primary source knowledge from the students on campus. We developed a quick and easy survey for students to take by scanning a QR code.
Hi, my name is Brittany Ochoa, and my part was virtual research. Research that was easier to get was looking at the map and how accessible it is for students. There were different features that as a group we thought of, like having a sensory part of the map that is interactive with people who cannot see or hear the voice to talk to them through the map. Even though there are challenges, we as a group are trying to find solutions and figuring out what students need. If the conclusion is to broaden our knowledge of location patterns with students and how easy it is for them to follow the map, then we have succeeded. Another thing that we are doing is making the calendar interactive and have cartoon graphics. This is something that is fun and will have students using the calendar to keep up with the assignments and events. A nice thing about the calendar is the installation of AI tools. This will be a virtual assistant that interacts with the students. We like this concept for its help with communicating the features in the calendar. The AI assistant looks like a lightning bolt that talks to the user and directs on how the features work. Our prototype has task lists in different colors and graphics that are associated with those tasks. As time goes on, the development of the calendar will come more together to be conducive for the everyday user. Bringing it back to the map, it can be connected to the calendar where the location is added and will let the user use the directions. This is a great idea for students who have a hard time locating their classes. Also, it is helpful for students that commute to find parking that is close to their classes and prevent them from getting lost. It can be tricky for new students to get used to the scale in navigating campus. The more it is used, then it will be easier to schedule their daily lives around their classes. Thank you so much for listening.
For in-person research, we decided that a survey of the Kent student body would allow us to gather the necessary data and information that we needed. To do this, we all met at the Student Center and split into two groups. Brittany and I went from the ground up of the Student Center, asking various students to take our survey. And I have a little funny story about that. There's this one group of 3 girls I went to ask, and 2 of them were extremely nice, like, oh yeah, sure, we can do that. But then one of them just stared like absolute daggers at me. It was pretty funny. I was just a little uncomfortable about that, but I don't know what I did, honestly, but it was just a little funny. But after that, Noah and Lana went to the library and surveyed the first and second floor, and after that, we met up and discussed all of our data. The data we found was interesting and also a little encouraging. Out of 77 responses, 37% were freshmen, 45% were sophomores, 11% were juniors, and 5% were seniors. 62% of those were on campus, 36% were commuters, and 5% were transfer students, and 3% were international students. The next data I want to talk about is the resources that these students have heard of. Thankfully, only 3% of students have never heard any of the campus resources we asked about. The most popular was the Academic Success Center with 87% use, and the Student Accessibility Services with 74%. The least popular were LaunchNet with 11%, and the Center for Adult and Veteran Services with 15%. The next data is if students have used this service personally or if they know someone who has used the services. 61% of students have used 3 to 6 of these services personally. Only 2% have used 1 to 3 of these services, and 1% has used 2 to 3. However, still, 34% of students have used none of the resources. 75% of students do know someone who has utilized these resources. And then 10% put down maybe, I don't know, someone has used it, possibly. But 14% said they know no one who has used a resource. And our final statistic, I think is the most important one, is the use of interactive maps that Kent offers on the website. This one is very important to our study because it links in with our calendar prototype. That being said, 58% of students that we surveyed have never visited and don't know about the interactive map. And that leaves 41 around it, if you round down or up, have used it. So this is an important statistic to us because basically a majority of these students don't know about this map that they can use to see events, where certain resources are, what's happening on campus, where are my classes and all that. They don't know about it. And this is really disheartening to hear because a lot of these resources could help these students with all these needs. And well, some of these resources were very popular. Statistically, a lot of them were below maybe the 50% mark or such, 30%. Some of them are around there. When the majority don't know about these resources, it's really disheartening to hear, and that's why we're here. We want to make it a lot easier for these students to understand what they can use and what is provided for them on Kent campus.
After thorough research, we were able to come to a final project proposal. We aim to create a centralized student resource calendar that will allow students to find and utilize campus resources in an easy and accessible manner. Our goal is to create a clear and guided way for students to find and access student resources. We aim to utilize the student resource calendar in a way that will allow students to browse and filter through the resources that will best aid them. Currently, there is no set way for a student to find all the resources they need in a clear, organized, and easily accessible way. This is why we want to present students with a comprehensive guide that they may utilize to fit their needs. Otherwise, students will be lost and not utilize the free resources that are available for them. With the goal of creating a centralized student resource calendar, we were able to focus on various areas to be studied. The first area was the actual event calendar. For the event calendar, it is necessary to compile an updated list of campus resources that students can easily access and see what is available for them.
So this is our prototype of the calendar. It's pretty rough right now. We're gonna add some color later. We wanted to design this so that it would be very interactive and easy for people to use. So for example, you see these events here. They have little icons, and here's our key. So like these are events, education, and recreation stuff. But you can click and you can drag them down here where you can favorite these events and know that they're happening. And then you can also hover over them with this, with your mouse, and you can see the location, the room, and the date when it's happening. AI that we're designing, if you've heard of Clippy, his name's Flashy. He's a little cute guy. He's gonna help you out on this entire thing. If you have any questions, he's your boy.
The current event calendar, found on the Kent State website, is very cluttered and disorganized. This cluttered environment makes it difficult for students to absorb the information that they need, and they end up disregarding the event calendar entirely. The second area that we plan to focus on is a resource list. A student resource list has the potential of being a great resource for students to utilize and find information. However, there needs to be a more successful way of putting one together, so the students have the ability to sort through the various resources available to them without getting overwhelmed or lost. Another area to be studied is the interactive campus map. There is a majority of students who do not use the current map at all or even know that one exists. Within the survey that we constructed, it was found that only 41.6% of the students we surveyed had actually utilized the interactive map that Kent has to offer on their website. This percentage is probably not the most accurate data, but it shows that less than half of the students at Kent actually utilize some very important and useful resources. We want to focus our efforts on creating a new interactive map that students can utilize and promote it in a way that grabs their attention. We were also drawn to the fact that there are various types of students. As a group, we took time to realize the different encounters between commuters, international students, on-campus students, etc. What do each of these groups need? Where do their needs differ from each other? How are they similar? These are just a few questions that we pondered over as a group when conducting our research. We wanted to know our audience and how to reach them directly. Of the people we surveyed, 3.9% are international students. Speaking directly with a student who had transferred to Kent, it is evident that the experiences of transfer students is fairly difficult. It seems hard for those students to adjust to the new environment and have a bunch of information thrown their way. If a centralized campus resource calendar was available to transfer students, it may make the transition of moving easier for them to adjust to. The final area that we studied was the mental health campus resources. There are so many resources pertaining to students' mental health, and we want to help students understand where the resources are. There is the Care Center, CAP Center, and so much more for students to take advantage of. Less than half of the students that we surveyed had even heard of CARES, CAPS, and some of the other resources. It is unfortunate that these resources are not promoted in a better way for students to utilize. This is why we want to create a centralized place for all the resources that students can use on campus. Without this, the students will be lost and have trouble finding their way, and we just want to make a way that will guide them easier through this crazy transition in life.
So when it comes down to reflection, there were a lot of things I noticed that me and my group worked well on, and a couple things that we struggled on. For me at least, I feel like we utilized how might we questions well when working through tough decisions with our project. Questions like, how might we be able to gain insight to how students are thinking? To which the answer was to conduct a survey like we did. I believe our superpowers meshed well together, and I had a good time working with everybody. I felt like there was good chemistry, and I liked what was going on. I believe we worked together as a group good overall. The atmosphere was friendly, it was focused, it was hardworking. We were great at staying on the same page and communicating what we think we should have done next well. I do think we could have improved by getting more information, maybe in the form of a second survey or through other means, just to bolster our information. If I were to restart the project again, first off, I would have started editing this video a little bit earlier and gave myself more time there. But mainly, I don't really know what I would have done differently in any other aspects. I also really enjoyed the creative freedom that we were allowed for this project. I had a lot of fun editing this video, and thank you so much for that. Overall, when it comes to teamwork, I think we did a good job consistently working efficiently and effectively and getting work done well early. I think we did a wonderful job working together. This project was important to me because when beginning our research, I was just looking back to experiences that I had already had freshman year last year on campus, being lost and not knowing where any of the resources are, and I was drawing on that experience as a freshman for solutions, which is important to me because if it affected me while I was a freshman, it's probably affecting other freshmen now.
When a applying the DI toolkit to our progress as a group, we have been able to communicate with one another with ease. The tasks at hand were done faster with us being more comfortable with each other. As a group, we have diverse thoughts on how the flow of the work should be put into the projects that we are given and add any ideas that can make the process quicker. The owner of the Design Innovation Hub came and explained what superpowers are and how to use them when collaborating. These powers are so different but can benefit the team, and how to properly work with others. The course so far was challenging in the beginning, but over time it was easy to grasp the concepts of the assignments. Going out to research any parts that we as a group assigned to each other was a fun part. Also, once we got our information, then we went back as a group to discuss what we found and added to the project. Storytelling for our group seemed the most fun part when we came to do the storyboard for our project. This was one of the parts of the DI toolkit that I can use my superpowers and bring an animated element. Lastly, the play was another fun thing we liked as a group, where we can have a visual representation of our project and produce more ideas.
So, I believed that we used the DI toolkit and superpowers very effectively. I believed we utilized storytelling to effectively communicate what we believe. We told a story about the underutilization of Kent State resources and made people understand what we want to communicate. For my superpower, I believe I was able to help push the team and keep us on track, even though I was a little bit of a distractor sometimes. What did not work well and what did work well with this project? I believe our teamwork and communication were excellent. Everyone knew what to do and how to do it. We're just a very good team that works well together. I think what we could have done different is take more footage for our documentary. We were kind of struggling to find B-roll when Noah was editing everything together. But other than that, there's nothing I would change, which leads into the next. If we were to restart this project, what might we do differently? I don't think we would. Maybe a little more B-roll, but I think we are very proud of what we've accomplished, and our work speaks for itself. It's a very good project. At what points I believe we really started working together on a team and focused on this challenge? I just believe right from the jump we were great together. We all enjoyed working with each other, and we all had good ideas that collaborated effectively. It was awesome working with this team, and I would totally work with them again. And what is important about my project to me? I think it's important to me because I want students to understand what utilities they have available to them, because we have all these resources for a lot of these students, and yeah, some are well utilized, but there are some that just you have never heard of, and it's really unfortunate because they can really solve a lot of these students' problems. So that is my reflection.
Collaboration and team dynamics was a huge element of design and innovation that our team did exceptionally well. We were able to come together as a team and tackle the assignments effortlessly. Play and creative process was another element that our group did really well, in my opinion. I feel as though our team had the most creative approach to every CBI project assigned to us. It was also super fun to explore the various creative processes and ideas that we would spontaneously come up with. The role of empathy was an element of design innovation that our team followed well. We all took into consideration each other's ideas and thoughts, so we were able to work really well together while also maintaining a healthy and supportive relationship throughout the processes. I think our creative process and collaboration worked out really well for us. We got along well and were able to share ideas and insights in order to come to an even better conclusion. Our ability to work efficiently while also having fun during every class was impressive, in my opinion. I feel like a lot went well for us, but something we could have improved on was documenting our research process better. I also believe that we could have worked more diligently on getting a greater number of survey responses. If we were to restart, I don't know if I would have done things much differently. I believe that everything we did worked out in the end and turned out even better than I could have imagined. Right off the bat, our group had great communication and creativity. We always kept things light and fun while also completing every assignment in a timely manner. We did not mess around, so to say, but instead we worked diligently while also being able to take the time to actually get to know one another on a personal level. This project was significant to me because it is something that everyone encounters as a student and something beneficial to everyone.